Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, we have a breaking news segment for you, a special edition of Pass the Mic. Just when you thought the college football offseason couldn't get any crazier, breaking news comes out that Nico iamaleava is transferring to UCLA. And boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, we've got a lot of talk to talk about tonight. Normally we do this show once a week, but we had, of course, breaking news happen, so we're here, and we might put the StreamYard link in the chat. Maybe depends on how generous we're feeling, and if we do, try to keep it 5-10 minutes calling restrictions, so we're not up all night. But with that being said, though, I'm one of your co-hosts, Sports Talk with Austin. I could not do this without my best friend, my brother from another mother, and the host of the Jacksonian, the man who helps me each and every week, Jackson Johnson, the Jacksonian. Jackson, how are you enjoying your day until this broke?
Been doing all right. I mean, I actually thought this wasn't going to happen because I was hearing reports that UCLA was out of the running, but I just kind of wonder what led up to this exactly. Like, I thought Syracuse going to try to get them, to be honest.
Interesting. Well, let's get into it, shall we? Because there's a lot of layers to peel back on this. So let's start with this first. So there was reports that Colin Cowherd, who, for many of you that don't know, is a sports radio host. He's the guy that thinks Notre Dame USC should be gone for good. And a guy that Jackson goes on his venting sessions about sometimes.
Oh, yeah. Well, I've been having more venting sessions on Jesse Palmer than Cowherd, but that's another story for another day. But when I heard this from Cowherd, I was like, yeah, whatever. But then the Athletic is saying something about it, and then you got reports from On3 saying, oh, iamaleava is leaving for UCLA.
Yeah. And as you can see in this tweet here from On3, Cowherd says, I am told moments ago, at the time this report was released, that iamaleava is going to UCLA. And here's the thing, Jackson. According to what Cowherd has heard, and this is all speculations and rumors, me and Jackson are not on the inside. We have no insider information. Far from it. We're just giving you what we have found and what we have seen. So don't shoot the messengers. But according to this report, he left Tennessee because he doesn't feel the offense it's because of the Tennessee offense. Which, if that's the case, that's a bunch of horse dung. What do you think, Jackson? Do you think this report's got any truth to it? That it's because of the Tennessee offense that he left?
Yeah. Well, the fact of the matter is, guess how much iamaleava got from UCLA? $1.75 million. I kid you not. Oh, thanks, Babine. But
see, Jackson's good with timing, BB.
Like, we're your late net stop, I guess.
I mean, we weren't planning on doing a show, but news like this and this controversy, me and Jackson could not leave y'all hanging out to dry. We couldn't do that to our loyal fans. We just couldn't.
Man.
Anyway, back to what you said, though, good buddy.
But yeah, like $1.75 million is the payoff for iamaleava from UCLA, and and chances are that he had to kind of lower down his pay request. Like, instead of just going $4 million, He kind of just had to lower it down. So he's getting a little bit. He was getting paid $2
Mm-hmm.
million at Tennessee. Now he's getting paid $1.75 million at UCLA. So that's a little bit of a
Mm-hmm.
decrease, but hey, the millions and millions. I mean, he's getting paid good money. But Dan the Diesel Freak says Jackson and Mark are in sync. I don't know about that, but as they say, great minds think alike.
Yes. And I'll say this too, Jackson. I think with this situation, this is a bad look for college football in general. Because one minute everything seems fine and happy. And then the next minute we get something like this. And here's the thing. How credible is Colin Cowherd? I know some people don't believe a word that comes out of his mouth, and some people believe what he says is gospel. I'm just trying to figure out, like you said, because there's all these reports of saying it's the family. Then you've got this over here saying it's because of the Tennessee offense not returning and getting weapons back in return. Then you've got people saying it's neither. It's situational. It's for UCLA lured him away. I just I just don't know which is true and which is not because there's reports going both ways. And that's what's so crazy about this, Jackson, is, you know, what's true now? Is it the dad and the family? Is it Nico making the decision of, hey, Tennessee, I don't think you're doing enough for me. Let me go look at my opportunities elsewhere? Or is Cowherd, is he in the Nico camp? Like what like this is all like very head confusing.
Well, the
Like I'm
fact of the
just trying.
matter, like the fact of the
Mhm.
matter is that I think that Nico's like somebody in Nico's family, and it's obviously someone in Nico's camp that has been getting in his head. Because like you look back
Mhm.
at past interviews, he's just like, I'm not really into a bunch of interviews or this, that, and the other. I'm not into this, I'm not in that. I'm just letting this guy do the work. I just gotta like focus on the Nets game. But Nico's dad, as I've stated last Friday on The Voice College Football, is like LeVar Ball on cocaine. Like, especially like last Thursday. You saw the tweets, the post on everything on social media where he was
Mhm.
going at Pete Nakos at on three. Now, why is he going at some guy from on three? Why is because apparently the truth was being reported. Jay Snow says
Mhm.
the backstory doesn't really matter at this point. Nico is in LA now. How he does next year is all that really matters. Yeah. I mean, that's
Here's
gonna be the question there. Like, does UCLA get to a bowl game? Do they go 7-5? I mean, Deshaun
well,
Foster, he seems to be doing his best over in UCLA, but he just keeps walking into crappy situation after crappy situation. He's just sitting there going, I didn't ask for this, but here we are. Like it's like that for him every day. Like he's a victim of circumstance.
well, Jackson, there is still part of me that the backstory does kind of matter, and here's why. Because because eventually this is all going to get sorted out, and one of these stories is going to be figured out to become true. And if it's the latter, meaning the Tennessee offense isn't up to snuff, and he goes to UCLA and bombs, that's going to be a bad look on Nico. But if it's the latter and it's the family making the talking, then okay. But if it's for what Cowherd is saying because it's because of the Tennessee offense, then and Nico doesn't perform well at UCLA, then there's going to be questions on Nico. Why would he leave a great situation in Tennessee for UCLA? If that's the case, right, Jackson?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's you go from Tennessee, who's a bona fide playoff contender, to UCLA, who's what at best an 8-win team, Jack.
Yeah. I mean, like UCLA is just kind of meh. I mean, they're they're at best like a 7-win team. Oh, we got a guy named DC Real saying it's already a bad look for Nico. I don't think going to UCLA is the answer for them. Agreed. But I
I
think the
do
better
too.
answer for him would have been going to Syracuse. Because, look what they did with Kyle McCord. Look at the magic he was creating there.
Hmm. This
Yeah,
is a good point too.
yeah.
Hmm.
Leaving your
I
$2.5
mean,
million job, that's it. That's the yeah, that's bad.
and Clint Moses says if he wins at UCLA, I'll be impressed. Oh, I agree. If he takes them to a 9-win season, then all of his doubters, critics, including me and Jackson here, we will we will we will write say we're sorry. We're not that we said anything derogatory about him yet, and we're not going to, but
No.
for anybody that was doubting him, he could prove them wrong. And that's the thing too, Jackson. Like you said, we're going to find out next year if UCLA can get back on track. Does Nico think he's the guy to do it? I sure hope for his sake he does, because after all this drama, after all the dust settles and they start putting on pads, we're going to find out what this is about.
Oh,
Because if
yeah.
UCLA, go, and here's the thing too, Jackson, where does this leave Tennessee?
Well, Jake Merklinger is supposedly going to be their next starting quarterback, but there's only 2 scholarship quarterbacks at Tennessee. And for those that watch Crimson Tide live on Monday and Alabama Primetime live on Tuesday on Alabama with the Voice of College Football, my concern was if one of our guys is leaving, that puts Alabama in a position where there's 2 scholarship quarterbacks. That's not a situation you want to be in. Matter of fact,
Mm-hmm.
that's the situation Tennessee is in. They only have 2 scholarship quarterbacks. And we can find
Mm-hmm.
Tennessee's QB situation in just a bit. Because let's see, they got Nico gone. Jake Mertlinger is their starting QB as of now. But let's see.
Mm-hmm. And his DC Real says here, Jackson, as a Vols fan, I'm happy our coach stood his ground, but sometimes the grass isn't always greener. I just don't know if Gaston Moore is
That's
that
the
is
guy.
is,
That's the other guy. Thank you, man. Um,
is
yeah,
the
that's
dude or
the
not.
thing though. That's the thing though, is I like what Josh Heupel did. He just let the QB know, hey, you're not bigger than the team. It's
Mm-hmm.
like that coach that anybody that's watching this show tonight, does anybody know about the TV show Coach from Craig T. Nelson? Well, there's an episode from season 1 of that show where there's like this star player where he's like this, this little prick who just acts however he feels because, oh, I'm the star player. I could do what I want. And it's like, well, you got to be a teammate. You got to show up for practice. And you want to be there for everybody. Oh, so all those guys are going to the draft with me like everybody else. And
Mm-hmm.
he's out like faking being sick, going to a bar and all that. But then the big game against Minnesota comes up and coach tells him, okay, you're through because you're thinking more about yourself than you're about the team. Then he tries guilt
Mm-hmm.
tripping coach about, well, we're gonna lose. We're gonna lose. Maybe. But I'll tell you something. I'm gonna miss seeing you run, but you're kind of an ass.
Mm-hmm.
So I
And
think that's
DC
what
Real.
happened, like, behind the scenes.
Mhm. Mm-hmm. And DC Real says, Jackson, I don't know about y'all, but if someone gives me 2.5 million to do anything at 20, you would have to be physically kick me out, LOL. Agreed. Here's the thing. I'm not faulting Nico for the money situation. Like I said before, DC, you'd be stupid not to consider it. Like, if someone's going to pay me 2.5 million, shoot, yeah, I'll consider it. Heck, heck, I'd be stupid not to. I mean, 2.5 million, you invest it right, could set you up for life. And not all these guys are going to be NFL players by the time their career's over. Some won't even get drafted. And just think about it. That 2.5 million could build you a house, could buy you a house, could start a family with. I mean,
Exactly.
I know this is just football on the surface, but if you look at it, you would be stupid not to consider it. I
Exactly.
mean,
I mean, you can't buy a house with $2,000 anymore. Like, you have to basically have 6 figures to buy a house, which to me that's nuts, but that's another topic for another day. But I mean, the fact of the matter is, this is going to be quite an interesting situation for UCLA and Tennessee for 2025. I mean, these two have a kind of a history together in a way. So it's like for those that
mhm,
look back at the football series history, that is funny, but true, Hummus. Fun fact: the actor who played Michael Dauber Dubinsky also is the voice Patrick Star. Yes, he is, and his alma mater is the University of SMU. Who knows? Maybe you could see him
mhm,
as a guest picker on College Game Day if SMU is unbeaten.
mhm. And here's the thing, too, Jackson. You mentioned talking about history. I kind of wish Tennessee UCLA would set up a series now just to see because what happens if Nico beats his former team or if Tennessee beats them, it beats UCLA. I mean, don't you kind of want to see it now, Jack?
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah, I
mean,
mean, I had fun watching
look.
Tennessee UCLA in 2008, 2009. I mean, that first one, Labor Day in '08, that was fun seeing UCLA upset Tennessee. And then seeing it in '09 on ESPN at 2:30 p.m., that was a fun game as well.
Mhm. Yeah. And here's the thing too, Jackson. Let me ask you something. Something. If you were in Nico's shoes and you had someone in your ear or like what we're thinking it is, what would you do? What would you do different?
Oh, I'd shut that crap down, quit fast and hurry. I mean, it's like I don't care if it's the whole cut me slack this, cut me slack, or I've done a lot for you. I've done everything for you and this, that, and the other. It's like you gonna guilt trip me like that, and that's like the reason why you're in my little camp, then get out of it if it's that big of a burden. That's what I'd say.
Mhm.
I mean, because I mean that's
I
I don't know the personal situation. I mean, he may have a good relationship with his dad. He may have he may have felt like he had to, like, I don't know. I mean, if I was that age again, I mean, probably. I mean, I'd probably be screwing up that bad as well. But the fact of the
Mhm.
matter is, Nico is going to have a day where he's asking himself,
Mhm.
do I want my dad deciding everything for me, or do I want to decide my
Mhm.
own life? Because I think that's going to be the situation he has to ask himself. It's like, do I
Mhm.
want daddy calling the shots for me, or do I want to call my own shots? And that's something,
Mhm.
because that's just not going to be a problem through deciding where he wants to go for college football. That's going to be an
Mhm.
all out life issue.
Mhm. Yeah. And the thing too is Jackson, and I have it brought up here, the 2025 UCLA schedule. I know it's still a little early on, Al, but now that we know Nico is going to be their quarterback, and this is what he's stepping into this upcoming year. They've got Utah at home. They've got at UNLV in Allegiant Stadium, New Mexico at home. Then they've got a bye. Then they've got at Northwestern. Then they got to play Penn State at home, at Michigan State, Maryland, at Indiana, a bye, Nebraska at Ohio State, Washington at SC.
Ugh.
Let me ask you something, Jackson. Do you think, looking at this schedule, do you think Nico can get 6 wins out of this? Just as an early
It,
projection.
if they can beat Utah, then it's realistic. They have a realistic shot at it. Because, I mean, like UNLV, we got to wait and see what they're like with Dan Mullen. New Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
Bronco Mendenhall was one and done, left him in the dust for Utah State. So we're going to find out, see what
Mm-hmm.
New Mexico is like. Northwestern, we still got a lot of learning about them. Penn State,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they can win that one. However, if Penn State beats Oregon the week prior, then UCLA has a chance to kind of trip them up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Michigan State, ooh, that's a classic one. We're gonna wait and
Mm-hmm.
see what happens in that game. Yes, matter of fact, Bill Fagerbait did play at the University of Idaho in college, so it's like you got. So SpongeBob better be happy that they got a college football player doing a voice. So that's pretty awesome. But anyway, back to UCLA. UCLA Maryland. That is going to be an interesting game right there.
That, to me, Jackson, not to cut you off, but that could be a bowl eligibility type game where the winner gets possibly a bowl eligible game. It could be one of those games that decides who goes bowling and who doesn't. Because I think Maryland's going to be in for a rough year.
Uh-huh. Well, and the fact of the matter is the AD that hired Mike Lotzley is gone. Zero, zilch.
Ooh,
So
that's not.
Lotzley is on a scorching. I think his seat's going to be scorching. And
Yeah,
matter of fact,
Jackson.
I've said that since 2023 that I feel like 2025 is that hot seat year for Lotzley.
Yeah, and this, by the looks of it, Jackson, is Mike Loxley is hanging on by a thread at Maryland.
Dreadnought Fear says you better not say that USC is winnable.
I mean, it is. I mean, because it is a rivalry game. Like, and not to insult anybody, but it is.
Well, anybody can win that game, but I will say USC will win that one. Washington, we're going. That looks like that can be a winnable game for UCLA. I mean, they're not beating Ohio State, and they're not. I don't think they're beating Indiana, but I don't know. I mean, they beat Nebraska last year, so they could give Nebraska some trouble again.
I mean, looking at this, Jack, I could see 6 wins, maybe 7, and that's being generous, and that's with the addition of Nico. Before Nico, I would have said 4 to 8, but with Nico now, if it becomes official, I'd say 6 to 7, because obviously Utah, former Pac-12 rival, they know each other pretty well. At UNLV, New Mexico, I mean, Ohio State and Penn State, I would say, are the 2 guaranteed losses. Every other game on the schedule, I think you could make a case for UCLA to win. Heck, even the Indiana game in Bloomington, I could make a strong argument UCLA can win that game.
Yeah.
I mean, what are you thinking right now, Jag? What's the ballpark? 6, 7?
They have to go at least 6 and 6. Because if they miss a ball game, then Nico's star really drops. But if they go 9 and 3, then that's a big win for UCLA. All the people that said I hate Nico iamaleava or iamaleava, they'll be like, oh, he's always my favorite guy. Like you'll see that happen if UCLA was to go 9 and 3. Same thing with Syracuse and Kyle McCord. A lot of people are like, why the hell is Syracuse adding Kyle McCord? That's idiotic. And what happens? Syracuse having a magical season in the first year of the Fran Brown era. And what happens? Syracuse like, oh my God, Kyle McCord's a genius. So there are a lot of people praising him, especially when he led the nation in passing yards for the season.
And Dreadnought Fear asks, why did Nico leave Tennessee? Well, as we've been discussing all night, Dreadnought Fear, there's multiple different reasons that we've heard and that have been reported. his family, Nico doesn't believe that the Tennessee offense is retooling itself. And we've heard that the coach and Nico have been butting heads. There's been 3 different reports out there. We have no idea which one's true. We're just here. We're covering it. I would say it's either the offense or the family's getting in the ear because it seemed like him and Josh Heupel had a good relationship. It seemed like it on the surface, but when those doors shut, you never know. But those are the 3 reasons that have been reported. And I'm kind of like Jackson. I'm leaning towards the latter here. That the family was kind of whispering like they did Matthew Sluka at UNLV, like, "Hey, go get you more money over here. They don't like you." That kind of thing.
Oh yeah. I mean, I bet Sluco's pretty mad at his family now. Where he's like, why'd you convince me to leave UNLV? That's Vegas
Yeah.
money.
Mm-hmm. And like you said though, Jackson, I think, and B Bean says, I think Nico wanted to leave Tennessee all along. Interesting, Jackson. What do you think about that? Do you think this has been his plan?
I think his dad was in his ear. Either his dad or somebody that was in his dad's ear. Then his dad, after getting like whatever reports from his agent saying, "Oh, hey, Nico, do this, do this." Well, that's because they were willing to negotiate the price lower. Because like Nico was going to do $4 million. A lot of teams like fat chance, bro. So and forget about being paid $2 million. He's now getting paid $1.75 million by UCLA.
And yeah, and here's the thing too. Like Trojan Fight said here, grass isn't always greener. Look at the 4 or 5-star Malachi Nelson. He's chased money now. He's at Texas State, I think. Yeah, that's the thing
why
too,
I don't
Jackson.
like because I mean it's like there may be a lot of money at someplace else, but at the same time, think about your situation. Think about the situation that has more money, which like it looks good, but what's the good long-term decision? That's something you have to think about. Because like we've seen like so many coaches, so many players have the reputation of being, chasing that bag. But at the same time, it's a good idea to kind of do that if you want. Because like you got yourself, your family, those around you. But as long as you're using the money correctly, not pissing away on some BMW or some hot shot mansion or whatever, then you're good to go. If you learn how to invest money, use it on, stocks or, doing something that helps you make your money grow. Like don't work hard, but also work smarter.
And as B Bean said, he asked, are some college players thinking they might make more in college versus NFL? I mean, depends on who you are. If you're someone like a perfect example of this is a Jalen Milroe. He's got NFL talent, but at Alabama, he was getting paid quite a bit of money because he was on the video game cover. He was a part of posters, magazines. And Milroe, I think, is projected to go, 6th round, Jackson? Right now,
Lot,
5th,
lot
6th round
higher
in the
than
upcoming.
that. A little higher than that, but like 2nd round, 3rd round, but we'll wait and see.
Really? Okay. I know his stock had dropped a little bit, but I digress. But nowadays in college, you can make more money, especially if you're not a first rounder. You can make more in college.
Oh yeah.
And
Agreed.
Dreadnought Pierce says, "Did Nico leave because of a girl?" I have no clue.
We'll
I
call
don't
them a
think this
lot of
is
things, but a simp ain't one of them. At least not to my knowledge.
exactly. I don't think this is a Carson Beck situation, which that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother night. Whole nother night. But
There we go.
we have Tim
And we got
Langley in the chat,
oh man,
which Tim is
he's doing some great
go for it,
magic
Jack.
on he's doing some great magic on the LAFB network, including tonight's edition of the Wednesday call-in show, which
Mm-hmm.
it's gonna take me a while to remember the name, but that's starring with Tim. But I'll get it figured out. But check out the magic that Tim's creating on the LAFB network at the USC channel for that.
All right, B Bean, listen. This is a PG show, young man. Why are you even bringing this up in conversation? See, Jackson, this is why. See, Florida won a national title in basketball, and he thinks he runs this place now. See, this is what happens when you let the inmates run the asylum. Good grief.
Oh Lord.
Uh,
But you want to take a look at that Tennessee schedule for a little bit?
sure. I'm always down to look at schedules.
Well, the fact of the matter is, week 1 is going to start out with the Aflac kickoff game, 1 of 2, against Syracuse. That's going to be an interesting one. I mean, Tennessee will win that one, no doubt about it. But we got East Tennessee State, Cupcake. But here's where things get really juicy. You got Georgia.
Yes. And I'm not laughing at you, Jackson, I promise. B Bean, you're all good. You're all good, B Bean. I'm having fun with you.
Mm-hmm.
But back to Jackson's question. Yeah, this is going to be a big prove it game, and it's early in the season too as well. I mean, because Tennessee has not beaten Georgia in a very, very long time.
Not since
And it's
2016.
Yes. Can they go to Georgia's coming to Neyland Stadium? What's the state of Georgia football going to be by this point, Jack? I mean,
They'll be
everywhere you
fine.
look,
They'll
left
be
and right,
fine.
Jackson, left and right. They've got people going to jail. They got people getting domestic violence assaults and sexual assaults, which we do not condone any of that.
No.
And it seems like Kirby Smart's team is falling apart right in front of him. So
No, I think
I mean,
Kirby's gonna make them straighten up at some point. But yeah, Georgia, that's gonna be an interesting one. I don't think Tennessee fans are really expecting them to win this game. But I think, however, they are going to want to see results against Alabama in Tuscaloosa and Florida in Gainesville. Now, the last time Tennessee has beaten Florida in Gainesville was in 2003, the second year of the Ron Zook era. It has not been accomplished since. All the victories that Tennessee has gotten against Florida in the last several years have all been in Knoxville, including the 2016 year where they ended that losing streak against Florida. The Tennessee Volunteers against Alabama. The 2 times that Tennessee has beaten Alabama in the 2020s decade, both in Knoxville, none of which have been in Tuscaloosa. The last time the Tennessee Volunteers have beaten Alabama was in 2003, where it went to 5 overtimes. And I'm going to tell you right now, if Tennessee can beat Alabama in Tuscaloosa, or they beat Florida in Gainesville, or they do both, Josh Heupel's going to look really good in this. He's going to come out of this. He's going to come out of this all right. But if they're losing to Alabama, Florida, Georgia, that one game they shouldn't lose, well, like Oklahoma on November 1st. Now Oklahoma's been piling up on the portal. They're just getting all kinds of toys on offense. So it's like, well, like our guys, we're getting this Oklahoma, this Washington State guy. We're gonna get this young man from Cal. I'm gonna tell you right now, this is gonna be an interesting season in Knoxville. Oh, agreed. Like Tennessee's non-con's pitiful, but I've had
Yeah,
nothing
like,
about
let's
them.
not get Jackson started on that because Jackson hates cupcake schedules, or dislike, not hate, dislikes, and
Exactly.
he can rant all night about that. So, but looking at this though, here's the thing. Now with Nico gone, it's all on Josh Heupel. He's starting over again, and the Tennessee defense has lost a lot. Pierce Jr. He's gone. Um, Dylan Sampson, I believe he's gone on offense. Tennessee's going to have to reload. And opening up with Syracuse, I know everyone likes to make fun of the ACC, right? Syracuse was a really, really good team that came on strong last year. And I feel like Fran Brown made a statement to the nation, hey, I'm here to build a contender at Syracuse. Don't sleep on us. So this could be a game that Syracuse could put the world on notice if they beat Tennessee. And then all the pressure for Tennessee comes big time because then that Georgia game becomes even bigger than normal. At
Yeah.
Alabama, the third Saturday in October, it's always a big time game. But if you go to Bryant Denny and beat the Crimson Tide, you put yourself on the map. But the thing is, though, if they beat Alabama that week, are they going to follow it up with a loss at Kentucky and Kroger Field? Wouldn't shock me. Or will Oklahoma beat them in Neyland? Or what if New Mexico State pulls off like what they did against Auburn? I know Jerry Kill's not there anymore, but off a bye week, rusty, it could happen. And Gainesville, Florida, I'm picking Florida in that game. I'm going to say that right now because Tennessee cannot
Yeah.
beat Florida. I don't care if Florida, everyone gets sick that day. I'm still picking Florida, especially
Yeah.
in Gainesville.
Because I mean, it's just not smart to be picking Tennessee against Florida and Gainesville. And Tim Prangley
Mm-hmm.
says he still hasn't gotten over how bad they treated Lane Kiffin after he left Knoxville. The cursing line. Tennessee treats everybody badly. Like some of their fans, they treat everybody badly. There's a story
Mm-hmm.
that Darrell was telling us the other day, which I think it was one of the ball games where like Purdue was playing Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
This is obviously when Jeff Brom was still at Purdue. He heard about
Mm-hmm.
like a Tennessee fan like throwing a beer at what he thought was the Purdue sideline, but it was nope. That was the Tennessee sideline. Nope. And he was talking about also where he heard one Tennessee person having a pitching a fit about Tennessee East Tennessee State not being on ESPN2 or something like that, and how it was on SEC Network Plus.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
oh yeah,
Mm-hmm. And Hummus, to Hummus's Hummus says Syracuse was a good ACC team. No offense, Austin. No, none taken, Hummus. No, but I don't think a lot of people gave Syracuse the recognition they deserved. Like once they beat Miami, everyone kind of started taking them serious. I agree with you, Hummus. They were a really good team, borderline top 25, and they're really good for the ACC because the ACC is down in football. But to your point though, here's the thing, Jackson. Look at this. Looking at this schedule, I mean, the back half of it eases up after Bama, right? Kentucky, Oklahoma, New Mexico, Florida, Vandy. If Tennessee can, if they only lose to Florida, I mean, what's the ceiling right now? Can Tennessee still win 9, 10 games
oh yeah,
as they sit?
oh yeah. It can happen, but we'll
I
wait and
mean,
see.
I mean, not an unofficial prediction, Jackson. How many wins do you think Tennessee gets?
Like 9 to 10.
I would say 8 to 9 right now. I would say I would have them losing to Florida, Bama, Georgia, and maybe Oklahoma. And I know that might be gutsy to say that right now because we don't know a lot about all these teams, but I could be wrong, but I could be right too. But I will say this though, Jack. How do you feel about this being an Alabama fan? This whole Nico thing, because now your biggest competitor is gone.
No, I'm laughing. As a Bama fan, I'm laughing. But as a college football fan, I think this Nico situation should serve as an example of what not to do for the players. Like, because like it's okay if you want to leave, like that's cool, but don't do the walking out and doing the whole "I'm going to do what I feel" stuff. Because like when you do that, it bites you in the rear.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll say this too, Jackson. The thing is, like B Bean says, 8 wins. I mean, right now I could see it absolutely 8 wins. But what if Tennessee turns out to be better than we thought? Maybe Tennessee wins the SEC this year. Maybe Nico was the problem all along and we just didn't see it. I doubt it, but is that a possibility?
We'll wait and see. We'll wait and
Mm-hmm.
see.
And B Bean says Nico broke the fourth wall, first holdout in college football. Wow. What do you think about that, Jack? He broke the fourth wall.
Well, do you look into the camera? That's my question. Is like, if he broke the fourth wall, he didn't do it correctly.
That's true. I mean, here's the thing. And Trojan Fight says there were some NFL players saying that he knows the family in Tennessee was making some of that up, that they told him not to show up. See, when I hear things like this, Jack, it almost makes me think like we keep getting new information every day. I don't know if we'll ever know the truth on this. All I got to say is, Jackson, it's after tonight. Hopefully, it's over. It gets all thrown under the rug, and we're gonna see who performs where, who does better where. Because
Well, and there's
if,
plenty of other stories in the transfer portal as well. Like,
mm-hmm,
because like, have you looked at Cal's running back situation? Everybody
yeah,
except one running back is there. Like, that's so
yeah,
bad.
and Jay Knott, the best running back that Cal's had in a very very long time, is gone. He left. And he was Cal's whole offense. Mendoza left to Indiana. It's just a mess.
It's a
But
damn
Jackson,
heap.
we have a very, very special caller. He's a good friend of ours. You know him, you love him. The USC man himself, Mr. Tim Prangoli.
Let's go.
How you doing today,
Well, that's an
Tim?
intro. Oh, yeah. Hey, listen, long time listener, first time caller. Love you guys. Love your stuff.
Oh, thanks, man.
We love your stuff too, Tim. And go USC.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun year, I think.
Oh, your eyes all right, man?
Yeah, no, I'm just staring into that key light for like an hour and a half earlier is pretty rough on the eyes. How you guys doing?
Oh, we're doing pretty good. Just chilling out, especially on a Wednesday night in Pacific time and Thursday at midnight in Central time and 1 a.m. in Eastern time.
Yeah, you guys doing a late night show, huh? You guys don't want to go earlier? How come you guys go on so late?
I can go earlier, but his schedules don't work that way.
I mean,
Yeah.
I have gone earlier. We weren't even planning to do tonight until this broke Tim earlier, and then I was like, "Battle up, Jackson."
There we go.
Well, 90%
But
of the shows we used to do on the Voice College Football channel, they used to pop up randomly as well. Those are that used to be the best shows, the ones we just kind of organically popped in and started doing with news breaking, you know.
mm-hmm. but how do you feel, Tim? Now that Nico's going to UCLA, UCLA might give you some competition.
They gave us some competition last year because USC couldn't find the end zone. They were settling for field goals instead of getting touchdowns. So that game against a struggling UCLA program went into the fourth quarter. So I'm hoping that that the red zone woes that USC had last year will sort itself out. But it's kind of cool though because iamaleava was the first Polynesian quarterback to start at USC. I mean, USC has an amazing history of Polynesian players going back decades. But the first time they had a quarterback, and now they have Nico iamaleava over at UCLA. Now it's going to be Polynesian versus Polynesian quarterback, which is also pretty cool.
Yeah, it's kind of cool when you look at the history of it. I know they always like to do that, but that's kind of cool that two Polynesian quarterbacks and two rich historic programs at UCLA and USC, and a rivalry game at that too. So obviously, there's going to be some testiness, I'm sure, that both quarterbacks are going to want to represent their heritage, but also want to beat the other because it is a rivalry game.
Yeah, no matter. I mean, like most rivalries, it's kind of unique in the fact that it's just, both schools are in the same city. I mean, I know there's close proximity, but I mean, I don't know if any rivalries are like 20 miles away from each other. You know what I mean? That's pretty close. Probably, I think it's less actually. It's 12 miles as the crow flies from campus to campus. So, yeah, it's fun because those guys also, they all know each other. A lot of them are Southern California kids, but also even if you come in from Texas or somewhere on the East Coast, you're gonna see each other. They go to the same events, they go to the same clubs, they go to the same places, so they all really know each other. UCLA and USC, so it makes for one hell of a bitter rivalry between the two.
Mm-hmm. And I'll say this too, Tim. And Nico coming to UCLA automatically raises their stock from a 4 to 5 win team to now maybe 6, 7, 8 wins. Because maybe if you look at it from the perspective of USC, not that you didn't fear them before, but now you've got, okay, Nico, top 15, top 20 quarterback, whatever you'd like to argue, maybe top 10, depending on who you ask. Now you've got that to deal with. And like you said, they were already struggling with UCLA, and UCLA was in disarray last year, to say the least. But Sean Foster kind of got it going there towards the end. Now maybe there's some stability and kind of bring this rivalry back to life.
Yeah, I feel bad for you guys, you youngsters, because I don't think you ever saw how good this rivalry. Like when I was younger than you guys, when I was like in my teens and younger, they were both usually nationally ranked. It was usually a very meaningful game. A lot of times it had the Rose Bowl on the line. So, and obviously back then there was no CFP. So going to the Rose Bowl was like one of the, Rose Bowl, Sugar Bowl, Cotton Bowl. Even back then, those, before it was even BCS, those were the big bowls. And a lot of them were decided in that USC UCLA game at the end of the year for the Pac-10 championship back then. Yeah.
Yeah. And I always think about, some of the greatest games of that rivalry, because and some of the greatest the names where it's like, I'm thinking about John McKay, Red Sanders, Pete Carroll. Those are the names I've got in mind anytime I think about the USC Notre Dame, USC UCLA rivalry. Sorry,
Terry Donahue. You can't forget Terry Donahue.
Donahue, bro, was amazing. Dick Vermeil was coaching that rivalry as well. And Darrell makes a great point. It's the best uniform game in college football. Agreed. Because I love it that they wear home uniforms. I really wish Alabama and Tennessee would go back to doing that. They haven't done that since 1967, I believe. And Alabama and Auburn, I don't think has done that since 1963.
Do you know the history behind that though, Jackson? You know why they both wore their home jerseys?
What's that?
It wasn't just for the optics. I mean, it made for good TV, but before UCLA moved to the Rose Bowl, they played their home games in the Coliseum.
Yeah.
So you would have half the stadium would be UCLA, half the stadium would be USC, and they used to both wear their home jerseys because it was a home game for both of them. So that was obviously a while ago before they played. Because actually the Rose Bowl is USC's other home field as well, because we kicked their ass so much there that I don't think they even have their own home field.
No, they don't have a home field advantage, especially when they play an Arizona team.
And I gotta say this, and I gotta say this too, Tim. I think with this move by UCLA, I think there's now a little pressure on Lincoln Riley. And I'm not trying to get you riled up. I'm just saying there's a little pressure now, because if this hits and UCLA becomes more prominent in football, they can kind of, when it comes to recruiting and getting these transfers, they might become the new hotspot out in LA, where as it is USC, and it mostly has been for a long time, like you said. But what if this hits and they're like, okay, we see what he did. Why don't we do that? Let's go to UCLA, and we get to play USC. We get to play Penn State. We get to play all these. Why do we need to go to USC? Like, what do you think?
I'm just trying to figure out who Nico's going to throw to. I mean, they lost Sturtevant. Sturtevant went to what, Florida, I think. He went from Cal to UCLA. And I think he's at. We should ask George. George would know. He's at Florida, I think. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how. I don't know how well they're going to do, to be honest with you. Again, they had a really great defensive coordinator, but USC went there and just took him. So Danton Lynn was their defensive coordinator, and USC liked them, and we said, "Oh, we'll have that. Thank you very much, Bruins. You can't enjoy nice things. We're going to take your nice things from you." So, I mean, that's the Trojan way. Come on, it's the Bruins. They're a basketball school, and really, they're just a basketball school.
I mean, Nick Cronin can't even get back to a Final Four. I don't think he's going to.
No.
Sweet 16, but that's it.
Do you feel the pressure at all, though, Tim, as a USC fan? Like we've been struggling with UCLA now that they've got a good to decent quarterback. Do you feel the pressure at all, or is it still same old business as usual?
I mean, I think if you were to get to USC, you needed to get to USC the last couple of years. I think that USC's finally figured out NIL, which is kind of sad that they were so slow to the party. But now that they have, I mean, look at USC's rankings and recruiting rankings. That isn't just because, I mean, well, it is. It's, you got to remember that they don't just come just for your NIL check. But I really do believe what Chad Bowden's doing. I mean, I think that what he did at Notre Dame, he's now doing USC, I think is something special. I know someone was cracking on me saying something like, yeah, because I was the one that joked. I made fun of Will last year because they had the number one class. I'm like, Will, it's April. It doesn't matter who has the number one class in April. It matters who has the number one class in December, you know? But someone kind of came at me with that, and I reminded them, like, yeah, but here's the difference. Notre Dame allegedly had like a $9 million NIL budget. USC is well north of 25 million. So
way more.
I'm just saying, yeah, I don't think. Also, Notre Dame has to nationally recruit. You got to recruit. You know, they always have. They've been great at it. But you don't get a lot of, top tier talent in Indiana. Do you know what I mean? So you have to go out of state to get your guys. A big portion of this USC class is California guys, and I think that they either have a commitment from, or they are leading, or very much so in the competition for 14 of the top 16 players in California. Which, I mean, if you can close down California and then go get some first round draft picks from Georgia, Louisiana, Florida, Pennsylvania, that kind of thing, New Jersey, like that Pete Carroll used to do, you're going to put together some pretty damn good rosters.
Mm-hmm. And I'll say this too, Tim. That is interesting that you mentioned that 14 out of 16 California guys, and that kind of what I was.
Sorry, Austin. I don't know if I misspoke. They're in the running for, or they have a commitment from 14 of the top 16. Or 13, whatever. I mean, a high number, 13 to 14 of the top 16 players in California. As far as as far as the recruiting class, it's not that California laden, but it's majority California.
So even though UCLA has still beaten you all the past couple of years, you're still winning over California. The guard has not changed, because normally when a big move like this happens, sometimes you see swing states like here in Kentucky or Alabama. If you could flip somebody to a different school within your region, it kind of swings the momentum in your favor. But even though this is just recently new, USC's still kicking UCLA's butt in taking California, or in the running for.
Yeah, I mean, UCLA. What they won 2 out of the last 5 or 6. I can't remember. They won 2 out of the last 5, I think. 2 out of the last 6. I just looked at it. Yeah, 2 out of the last 6. So I mean, that's an anomaly. If you go back before that, USC was holding its own for quite a bit. You had a couple of good years there with Mora. I think he had some really good years.
That's the thing, though. Like, Jim Mora Jr. could dominate USC from 2012, 2014, but he could not get it done against Stanford, even on Stanford's baddest year under David Shaw at that time. Whereas, like, they always blew it. They always blew that opportunity at winning their division, winning their conference. Like, that was the thing. Like, UCLA had me frustrated for those years. Like, it's like,
well, Jackson, that football, like most sports, are matchups.
That's true.
And those Stanford teams really were a difficult matchup, especially on the offensive line for years. Even when they started to decline, they still had. I think their method was a bruising athletic running back, and then having an insane NFL caliber offensive line and tall receivers. I wouldn't say NFL receivers. I wouldn't even say great receivers, but they had tall receivers, and they knew how to run the ball effectively and then use their tall receivers. Going way back even to Jim Harbaugh, when Jim Harbaugh was there, that's what they would do. That same, and they called it intellectual brutality. They called it because they're Stanford, they're football players. So they're not really getting in on an academic merit, but there are high standards there. But yeah, they would ground pound you.
Man, like Stanford, they're downhill from where they were with Harbaugh and Shaw. And it was funny though, like when we saw like the Troy Taylor news breaking, and I was filming a Jacksonian episode at that time with Ruby Dreyer Finley from Ole Miss at the Voice of College Football and production coordinator of College Game Day, where we were like talking about, it was like the last bit of the show where we're just like, oh wow, he got fired. Like, yikes. But Andrew Luck made the call. But something tells me Andrew Luck is going to get Stanford out of this mess as the GM. I think he can. I don't think they're going to be like having 10-win seasons or anything, but I feel like it's similar to where Illinois has been with Josh Whitman. Where it's like the Lovie Smith era didn't quite work out, so they're doing it with Brett Bielema. They're doing just fine. I think we could see something like that with Stanford as long as Andrew Luck is the general manager.
I'm reticent to talk about the future for programs that are in the Big 12 and the ACC, because I think we're going to slowly begin to see, except for your outliers like the SMU, who just has more money than God. And people say that Stanford has a bunch of money, but they don't put that money into their football team.
Obviously,
Stanford's just not going to do that. Their endowment's bigger than anybody's.
I mean, if Stanford and Cal weren't in California, they'd have been left out in the cold like Washington State and Oregon State.
But here's the thing: if you're trying to convince a kid to come to Stanford or Cal, which is a very intellectual schools, or trying to get someone out of the transfer portal, it's going to be very hard, especially out of the portal, because you got to be intellectually smart to even get close to getting to one of those two schools.
Cal, not as much as Cal as Stanford.
Cal as Stanford.
Cal, not as much Cal as Stanford. Cal, not as much Cal as Stanford. Cal, not as much Cal as Stanford. Cal, not as much Cal as Stanford. Cal, not as much Cal as Stanford. Cal, not as much Cal as Stanford. Cal, not as much Cal as Stanford. Cal, not as much Cal as Stanford. Cal, not as much Cal as Stanford. Cal, not as much Cal as Stanford. Cal, not as much Cal as Stanford. Cal, not as much Cal as Stanford. Cal, not as much Cal as Stanford. Cal, not as much Cal as Stanford. Cal, not as much Cal as Stanford. Cal, not as much Cal as Stanford. Cal, not as much Cal as Stanford. Cal, not as much Cal as Stanford. Cal, not as much Cal as Stanf Cal used to take Prop 48. I mean, this goes way back to the 80s and 90s and whatever, but Cal would take guys that even USC couldn't get in. Guy named Russell White. This before your guys' time, but he was a big time running back recruit. He was the nephew of Charles White, the Heisman Trophy winner at USC. And SC wanted him bad, but he just couldn't get his. He took the SAT, they took the ACT. He couldn't get a test score. His grades were kind of questionable. He didn't have the transcript credits. And what do you know? He shows up at Cal in the fall, and all SC fans are like, "What the hell? How Cal? Berkeley let him in?" Yeah, you never know. But Stanford is very strict on their student athlete enrollment.
Oh yeah.
By the way, Dan, the diesel freak. I probably shouldn't even give this guy oxygen, but no, Ohio State does not have more national championships than USC. So, like I said,
well,
Ohio State has a very, very high floor. They don't have the ceiling like an Alabama or a USC does. They just don't. I mean, we could argue all day if you want. USC has, and Alabama once in a while has some dark holes that they crawl into sometimes. But I mean, when Alabama's bumping, and I don't mean just with Saban, I mean with any coach, they can nobody can play with them. When USC is at the top of their game, nobody can play with USC. Ohio State, I don't think in my lifetime I've never seen Ohio State go on that kind of a run. I haven't. Not the rare air that I've seen Alabama at or USC at or Nebraska in the 90s. Just a program where it's like, oh, dude, it's over. Don't even play that team. You're not going to win. I don't remember having that. I mean, am I wrong, you guys? Do you guys has there been an era where, oh shit, yeah, you played Ohio State, oh, you're losing? No, I've seen it with Ohio State. I've seen it with USC. I've seen it with Alabama. I've seen it with Miami. I've seen it with Nebraska. I've never seen that with Ohio State. That's a fact.
And I'll say this too, and Jackson can attest to this. There was only one team during that Nick Saban era that you could confidently say that would give Alabama a game, and that was Clemson. You knew every time those two played, that was going to be a heck of a game. But other than that, Alabama was just running everybody over.
Just dominant.
And the occasional Auburn showing up.
I mean, what was the streak? How many games they win at Bryant-Denny in a row? I know you of all people would know that.
Yeah, we had a huge non-conference winning streak from 2007 to 2023. Texas ended that streak. Like that was a sign that Texas was going places that year.
Dan, I always reply to people that have that have a nom de plume, right? Like we know it's you, Kated. We know it's you, dude. It's
nom de plume.
It's like a pen name.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm gonna look up that word tonight. Can you type it? Can somebody type it in the private chat?
Nom de plume.
Yeah.
It's French. I don't know how to spell it.
And Jackson Trojan Fight asked, how many of those were non-conference games?
A lot. Like that's the non-conference winning streak from 2007 to 2020. 08 to 2023.
I'm trying to think. I know you played
like
USC.
Our last loss, because like when we lost to Texas in 2023, it was the first time since we lost to Louisiana Monroe in 2007 on November 17th of 2007, where we lost a non-conference game at Bryant-Denny Stadium.
And I know this too. I forget what year was it, 2016 or 17, Tim, that you all played Bama USC.
Yeah, why do we got to talk about that game? Why is everyone got to bring up 2016? I'm just kidding. I remember that. You know, Alabama got lucky. You know, if we would have scored like 7 more touchdowns, we probably could have beat them.
Oh Lord, here we go.
Well,
Jackson.
the 70s.
You know what I said? I said 7 more touchdowns. We probably could have beat them.
Oh, man. The 70s had some great matchups. Like 70, 71, 77, 78. Man, I got to tell you, looking back at the history archives, I'm just like, I want Alabama to have like the non-conference schedule that they had in 77, 78, but I know it's not happening. So like 2025, 2026 in the next few years, that's as close we'll get for now. Like, I want to see a home and home with USC. Like, it would be so fun. Like Alabama USC. Like, that would be fun. I think both teams would really go at it. And, just have them play like put it on Fox or NBC, put it on ABC, something. Like we gotta have that game back. Like 2020 took that game from us.
Yeah.
But what was worse, it took Notre Dame USC from us, and I sobbed like a baby when that happened.
And the thing is with those type games, logistically, California and Alabama, like I know if y'all were to play again, it would be somewhere in the middle, because logistically, would USC want to come all the way across country to play in Bama, and then would Bama want to return the favor? Because that's what, a 6-hour trip, 6-8 hours from California to Bama.
Well, I mean, USC's gone farther.
That's right. You go to Notre Dame, and that's 10 hours.
Oh, no. Notre Dame's closer. They're in Indiana. But I mean, USC flew to Maryland last year, and that's probably a slightly longer flight. That's going on the angle. And I'm sure at some point they'll play Rutgers, which would be like from LA all the way to Piscataway, New Jersey. I mean, that's gonna be a hell of a hike.
Oh, I remember when I called in on the USC Collins show in 2023, where I was like, I cannot believe, like, if you go back in the past and say USC Maryland's going to be a Big Ten conference game, you'd be laughed out of the room for saying that. And then it's 15 years later.
Boom. You know what was weird is Pat Hayden, going way back. Pat Hayden said that they asked him, talking about expansion, talking about the Pac-12, because USC wasn't happy being in the Pac-12 for a long time. I mean, as much as Oregon wants to quack, as much as other programs want to say stuff, USC is what really kept the Pac-12 floating. I mean, I'm sorry, that sounds arrogant, but it really is true. Probably more than almost any other conference. And USC basically was saying we're looking at the Big Ten, the SEC cable deals, the Big Ten and their TV deal, and going, we want to compete with these schools that we've historically competed with. But if we stay in the Pac-12 and you guys aren't making any money, we won't be competitive. Kind of goes back to what I was telling you guys about. I don't see the Big 12 and the ACC schools being that competitive going forward, because every year that slice of the pie, that margin is going to get bigger and bigger. And so when USC basically left, it was, how do I put this without being really rude? It was what they had is really what they had to do, And so when USC went to the Big Ten, I don't really see any reason, why those schools. I was surprised though. I really did think that the Big Ten was going to take. I don't know why. Maybe it was Tony Altomore got it in my head, but I really thought for sure they were going to bring Stanford over as well. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and like USC, UCLA leaving, that was a test of what was to come. And because it was like I remember, like, my dad and I had this conversation, and he's not a college football fan, but he asked me, like, do you think what do you think's gonna happen to Pac-10? Look, when USC left, that means that conference is screwed. It's not a matter of if, but when. The Big Ten, somebody bigger is gonna offer Oregon or Washington. And when they do, they're out of there. They're out of there, packing their bags, going.
But they asked. I forgot my story. Pat Hayden. They asked Pat Hayden, the athletic director. They said, "Would you guys ever think about going independent?" And he looked right at the camera. And this was about a year and a half before the word came out that summer that USC was going to join the Big Ten. He looked right at the camera and he said, "Everything's on the table." And I said the year before USC left, I said USC is going to be in the Big Ten. It was on one of, if I had the patience to do it, it was on one of our call-in shows. I said, I'll bet you USC is going to join the Big Ten. Because there were rumors, little tiny rumors about it even before it happened. Wow. But about a year before it happened, I said that. And it would be worthwhile because I could actually try to make myself sound smart. But It made sense. It made sense because the natural rivalries with like Michigan, Ohio State that USC's had over the years because of the Rose Bowl, and Iowa and other schools, all the bowl tie-ins. It made sense. Not geographically. I hate the fact there's no regionality anymore, but it made sense.
Right?
It made sense. It made sense. With rivalries that are already baked in.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the thing too is about it, Tim, is when USC joined, I was shocked at first, but then when I kind of looked at it, I was like, okay, like what you said, there's rivalries baked in, and the fact of the Pac-12, it kind of the writing was on the wall. I mean, because you had those years where USC and UCLA and all these teams were down, and it was Oregon and Utah and somewhat Washington holding the conference up. It was all wobbly legs. But once you all decided to leave, then it really became a point of, okay, the Pac-12 is not going to last long because no one had the Pac-12 network, or very few did, and the games were always on late. Which, yeah, I was one of the few too. That's how I was able to watch a lot of the USC games, and they were always on late, and people were complaining about that, which that's nothing new. But once you all left, and then Colorado, UCLA joined, then it was only a matter of time before it went quietly into the night.
I think there was collusion involved. I think that they just want to pick apart the conference because why buy the whole thing, right? Why deal with Oregon State, Washington State? Why deal with Arizona State and Arizona? I know they have good basketball down there, but why deal with them when you can bust up the conference and grab the ones you want? Stick some of if you're SEC, right? I mean, if you're SEC, if you're ESPN, you go, we can get some of them into the ACC because they have the ACC deal, and then Fox had the Big Ten. So I'm almost certain there was collusion going on. They didn't want to give the Pac-12 a contract when you could bust it up and then just pick the parts you want. It makes much more financial sense.
Mm-hmm. And I'd heard rumors, and I even told Jackson about this, but before it all fell apart, I heard rumors that the Pac-12 was in talks to be on Apple TV, and I asked Jackson, and I was like, I don't know how true that would be because not a lot of people would have that. I don't know if that was true or if that was just rumors, but I'm kind of interested to see how that would have played out if they would have gotten like a streaming network like that. If that would have helped any, even after y'all left.
Desperation wasn't in Austin. It just sounded like it just reeked of desperation. I mean, outside the box, yes, but.
And the thing too is, Tim, like the ACC, a lot of people are thinking the ACC's they're on a lifeline. And I try to tell people, I'm like, the ACC might survive a little longer than 3 to 5 years of what they're saying the timeline because of the basketball aspect. Because the Dukes, the Louisvilles, the Pitts, they're going to try their darndest to make sure that this conference does not die if they can help it.
Yeah, true. I mean, and plus, as much as a lot of West Coast fans don't want to admit, football's bigger in the South than it is in the Pacific Northwest. Well, actually, no. Pacific Northwest up in Washington State, Oregon State. It's actually about as close you can get to the excitement and the craziness of the entire fan base. You know what I mean? Like Washington State and Oregon State may not have the biggest fan base. They may not have the biggest stadiums, but dude, those people, everybody in Corvallis, is everybody in Spokane is what 100%. Like they are their team, and you can't say that about the bigger schools like the Bay Area schools or the LA schools because there's the Golden State Warriors, right? There's the effing Giants, then there's a Dodgers, Lakers. Look how many championships, Lakers, Dodgers, Rams. I mean, you're competing with not just professional teams, but you're competing with historically good team. Like the Dodgers will always be the number one team in town, always.
And that's why I wonder why the Clippers hadn't considered moving to Vegas because it's like you're not gonna win LA, but you can win everybody in Vegas.
And that's the thing too. I want to say this too, Tim, and you can agree to this being around LA. You got a lot of things to do out there. You're around the movies, you're around lots of theaters. You got things to do other than watch football, baseball. Whereas out here in the South, there's not much to do. So that's what we watch.
I don't know. I mean, there's just different things to do. Like, I remember spending summers in Michigan. Like, I'm sure you can go water skiing here, but you don't usually go surfing. There's not a lot of nice freshwater. There are. Sorry, let me rephrase that. There are nice freshwater lakes, but when I was in Michigan, you go up to the cottage and you water ski and you drink beer all day. Hell, to me that's pretty damn fun. That's a good afternoon, So I mean, if it weren't for the damn mosquitoes, good God, the mosquitoes in Michigan. But anyway, there's just different things to do. I think it's kind of a cop out that there's better things to do. I don't know. I mean, some people might like bass fishing more than they like surfing. You know what I mean? So it just depends on what you like to do.
Mm-hmm. And Trojan Fight brings up a great point. He says to hear the SEC pumpers tell you would think that they win 90% of their non-conference games. I mean, Jackson, you would know this probably better than me and Tim, being in SEC country. Is that accurate? 90%? Is that what they say?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of people that are SEC fans that tend to brag about like, oh well, our non-con was great this season, but you didn't hear anybody bringing up Arkansas, Oklahoma State. Like, nobody's gonna bring up that, oh, we lost to the worst team in the Big 12.
I'll tell you a quick story, Tim. So when Alabama got left out, and people were complaining about it.
I go at it one. Come back, Darrell. Oh man.
And the thing was, I told Jackson, I was like, why are people complaining about Alabama's non-con schedule? That wasn't what lost them. It was they lost to Vanderbilt. They lost to Oklahoma. Why is it people talking about this more? Why are they complaining about the non-con? And to hear Sankey and everybody say, oh, we need to get rid of all these games we need more cupcakes. To me, that's just like, that's not what caused it, Alabama. You lost to Oklahoma and you lost to Vanderbilt. Look yourself in the mirror. It's not your non-con. And that's what ticks me off when they start doing that, because then that gets me mad, because that's not the reason. We shouldn't be taking away Notre Dame, USC, because USC people, not you specifically, Tim, but like Cowherd, like the rivalry, I've heard him say it doesn't have significance anymore. It doesn't mean anything. And that just ticks Jackson off. But in a roundabout way, that was my way of saying I don't like the fact that they want to take away our big games because one SEC team got left out.
Cowherd's a shock jock guy. He even admits it. He doesn't really mean everything that he says. He's just trying to get a rise out of people, getting viewers. Because remember, that's why the numbers for like Miami and USC, Ohio State, to some degree, is because a lot of people love them, but even more people hate them. Notre Dame, perfect example, right? A lot of Notre Dame fans out there. A lot of people that hate Notre Dame, and there's not many in between. Either you love them or you hate them. And so, I mean, with Cowherd, he wants people to love him. They want people to hate him because he knows they'll tune in if they hate him too, just to hate on him. So
yeah, and I think, and it's like, even though I'm not too crazy about his take on like Notre Dame USC rivalry, I think it's like, I've been a little too hard on Cowherd. I mean, I probably need to watch his podcast more, because like I like his podcast more than his Fox Sports 1 show, to be honest. Because he's more he's more real. He's not trying to shock anybody on his podcast.
Yeah,
on there, because like he's just talking, chilling out. But apparently, Austin, we've got breaking news from the NBA. The King, and it's from Shams himself. Monty McNair and the Kings are parting ways. He spent 5 seasons running the Kings, winning an NBA Executive of the Year in 2023. When the Kings went 48-34, snapped a record 16-year drought to make the playoffs. Good point.
Wow.
That's just nuts.
Wow. I mean,
what do you think about this, Tim?
NBA. So I'll just tell you, NBA. I stopped like almost completely when LeBron became a Laker. I completely stopped watching the Lakers, and really, I haven't really followed Lakers since Kobe was there. So I mean, in the '80s, you could have had an argument when I was a kid that the Lakers were my favorite team. You could have gone between the Dodgers and Lakers. The SC, I've always loved SC. I've gone to SC games my whole life, but I didn't really become a diehard SC fan until I went to school at SC. But I mean, the NBA guys, again, remember, look, I got this grade. I'm an old guy. I think it's amazing how they bomb from logo. I really do. It's just, I like those. I like the dirty ass Knicks, you know, and and then when you had like the bad boys with the Pistons, and then like Dennis Rodman, you know, just being a total thug for the Bulls. I don't think these guys would last 20 minutes in an NBA game back in the 1980s. These guys now, there's no way. So
they'd be sobbing. They'd be sobbing, peeing themselves.
And they don't realize just like guys like Isaiah Thomas, man. That guy was vicious. He was a dirty ass player, man. You know, John Stockton, the best line ever. You guys know who Jim Rome is?
Oh yeah, Jim Rome. I remember he worked at ESPN. He's having his own shindig now.
He used to call John Stockton the pasty gangsta because that guy would throw elbows. He would knee dudes in the nuts. I mean, he was the dirtiest player out there, right? And then Karl Malone, dude, that guy was like a tight end, right? He would he'd clear out with his elbows so hard that like he'd knock people out. I mean,
well,
yeah, those teams were great.
Tim, I want to tell you something. So I'm like you said, we're younger, but as I've gotten older, I've learned to love and appreciate Dirk Nowitzki, and he's become one of my all-time favorites. And I remember watching some of these tapes, like you said, they got down and dirty, and like the Malice in the Palace, that would never happen now.
Oh, I remember that. That was in 2004. I saw that with my grandparents at 7 years old, and that was on ESPN. Like Pacers just fighting each other for an hour. I was like, good God.
It was not a Lakers Celtics game in the 80s unless there was two players bleeding up and down the court. Like, and they didn't stop the game for like blood back then. They would just keep playing. Yeah. Oh man.
Oh man, that Lakers documentary on HBO, that's an awesome one. It's classic.
And I'll say this too, Tim. Tim, why you're here? I know it's early, but like looking at USC coming up for this year, how are you feeling for the 2025 season? Are you optimistic? Is this the year they make a run at it, or what are you thinking?
So there's not a team on the schedule I don't think USC can't beat. I think playing at South Bend, at Autzen are going to both be tough games. Playing at Memorial Stadium is going to be a tough game, but I'm not sold on Raiola. Unless Raiola makes a big leap, I'm not really too concerned about that game. The rest of the games, I mean, SC plays at home. You know, they play Michigan at home, play Iowa at home. I think SC beats Iowa and Michigan. I think they most likely lose one of the two, if not both, away games in South Bend and at Autzen. It's painful. Hurts me to say it, but it's probably true.
Well, and I gotta say this too: the bye week after you go at Illinois comes at the right time because off the bye you got 2 weeks to prepare for Michigan and a rematch of last year's game. That's kind of interesting that they gave y'all a bye before that game. And then you go at Notre Dame. And then you got a bye after that. Which is kind of like, are they almost saying, okay, we understand USC's got to travel, since they're out in California, let's give them these byes right here instead of doing like they did to Oregon and make them play 8 straight without having a week off.
Yeah. That happened at SC in the Pac-12 our last season there. It was a ridiculously long. We had a really early bye and then not another bye till the end of the season. But look at that stretch. Yes, you have those two. You do have the two bye games, but I mean, going above that, you have Illinois, Michigan, Notre Dame, Nebraska, then Northwestern, which should be easy at home. But then you have Iowa and then and the Ducks. That stretch of games there is going to be very physical, and it's a reason why what USC didn't have last year. What I hear a lot of people do, I mean, even people I respect a lot. It was a national show. They talk about how USC lost close games and try to blame it on coaching. And we all know, and you guys got a lot of wisdom for your years. It also has to do with your size and depth on your lines. And USC was undersized, and we went into the spring needing about 1 or 2 zero tech guys, right? We needed some big beef in the front of our defensive line. And not only did we not get anybody, but they lost Isaiah Rakes, who came in then bailed, so you lost him. You had Bear Alexander screwing around and finally eventually leaving 3 or 4 games into the season. So now you're down to like we're playing guys that are 295 pounds, 290 pounds at nose tackle. And then we had Pepe, who was bigger, but just I don't know, technique wise, I don't know. He had been in the program for a while, so there's no excuse. But he just was woefully unprepared. But Henny kind of turned around. He was playing better than the season. Anyway, short story is the reason why USC was losing a lot of those close games. And that stat, remember the stat that everyone on the pounded to the ground that USC was winning in every game in the fourth quarter except for one. Well, the reason why they slip away at the end of the game is because they didn't have any rotational depth at defensive line. So what happens at the end of the game when your defensive line's tired? You're going to give up points and you need to give up yards on the ground. You can't get guys off the field.
Yes.
It's not rocket science. So, but the haters just want to make it about Lincoln Riley and he doesn't know how to coach. When in reality is Lincoln Riley did not get a roster together that he needed to have. That's the truth.
Mm-hmm. And that's one of the biggest. And that's one of the biggest things too, Tim. All I heard coming out of that Maryland game was it's Lincoln Riley's fault that they couldn't pick up a yard. It's Lincoln Riley's fault that they couldn't do this, they couldn't do that. And I understand why they put that pressure on him. He's an offensive genius. I don't think any of us here or anyone in the chat would argue that. And Lincoln Riley should be a yard, right? I mean, but
but do you go for the yard when you kick the field goal and put the game out of reach? It's not Lincoln Riley's fault that they blocked the field goal. I mean, it's like now should USC be in a 1-score game against Maryland? No, of course they shouldn't. Maryland didn't. No. If they won one game, that was against USC in conference. Of course they shouldn't. But to say it wasn't, I hear that 1 yard thing a lot. It's like it's the right call. Kick the field goal, ice the game. The game's over. You know, it's like a 45-yard field goal. He hits that field goal. It's a 2-score game, and that's it. But it gets blocked, and everyone knew it was going to happen as soon as that ball was blocked, by the way. Everyone knew that Maryland was going to go down the field and win the game.
Well, that's one of the things, too, Tim, that I want to say. That it's kind of like the Utah situation all over again from a couple of years ago when Utah went for 2. Because if NC stops them, all we hear is, why did they go for 2? Why would they do that? But since they got in, everyone wants to blame the defense and wants to call Kyle Whittingham and Cam Rising ballers, gamers, whatever the kids like to use. It's kind of like this scenario. Like, I'm with you. Kick the field goal. The chances of it being blocked in are very slim. Like, that probably doesn't happen again if we replay that, if we're being honest.
Well, I mean, an extra point's a lot less likely to get blocked than a 45-yard field goal. I mean, that you're going to hit that a little bit lower, and so there's a chance it will be blocked. But the point I'm making is the reason why they went for it at Utah is you have Cam Rising, who's a big dude and can run the ball, and it's late, and people forget this. When you're in the SEC, you never have to play a game at altitude. You don't play a game at altitude. When you play, when you play at Rice Eccles at Utah, you're playing, mile high football. When you go to Boulder, you're playing mile high football. You're playing at altitude, and late in the fourth quarter, that will gash you. And I think that's exactly why Willingham went for it, because he knew USC's defense was on their heels and they were exhausted. Go for the jugular, and that's what they did.
And the air gets thinner up there too, and you could see it too. And that was it was a great game. I thought that was one of the best games across the board all year. But you could see it in the defense. You all were gasping for air. So, and I don't think anybody really wanted to play overtime either, win, lose, or draw.
No.
At that point, they were like, okay, let's go for two. If we get it, we'll live with the results at this point.
That game in Utah, that's a tough one for me to swallow because USC would have gone undefeated in the regular season if it weren't for two. I don't know if you guys watched that game, but they called two very questionable roughing the passer.
Yeah,
one was intercepted. One was intercepted, and the other one would have been like, I think it was a third and like a mile, and they gave them the first down. And
Utah would have basically been out of the running for the Pac-12 title. Because at that time they had 2 conference losses, and that game against USC on Saturday night was their do or die game.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't have been a close game. They wouldn't have a chance to go for 2. USC probably would have put that game away, even at altitude. And then the watch, I was there for at Allegiant Stadium for the Pac-12 championship game, and I mean, guys, I don't know if you watched that first quarter, but USC was just I must have said a foul word. Dominating, just completely kicking their cans in on both sides of the ball. They couldn't move the ball, and SC couldn't be stopped in that first quarter. They were about to go. They were about to go up like 21-0 or whatever, 21-3. I'm sorry, they're about to go up 21-3 in the first quarter, and that's when his hamstring he pulled his hamstring. I mean, otherwise, I remember someone said to me, "It was the first quarter. How do you know who's going to win?" I'm like, if you would even just watched the Utah body language, that game was already over in the first quarter. So,
but
I was gonna say,
go ahead, Jack.
You know, has anybody watched the latest episode of This Past Weekend with Theo Vaughn? You never guess who was on there. Lane Kiffin.
I love Kiff. Kiff's my man.
Oh man, I gotta find that clip. But he was like talking some mad smack on Brian Kelly. I was like, yes. He was talking about the little dance moves on Brian Kelly, where he was saying, oh, you know, he looked like he was grinding on that guy.
That was creepy. I had that GIF. Remember, Jackson? I had that GIF. I had that GIF all the time on what's the Sunday night show again? Late night, the
CFP
After Dark.
After Dark show. I used to play that one on the After Dark show when I was allowed to be on there.
Oh, man, that was so funny. Like,
Oh, go ahead, Tim.
I was just gonna say my favorite moment at a high school game. I was at a Bosco game, and they must have had buys, both of them. But Sark and Kiffin were both there, and I was there with John Jackson. I don't know if you guys know him. He's a USC wideout, and yes. we were from like going way back. Top of those great SC UCLA games, but and Kiffin came over to talk to JJ, and Sark came over too because they both knew him right when they coached SC. And I'm standing right in the middle of all these guys, and they're tall, dude. They're tall. They're all like 6'4" plus. They're tall dudes. And I'm just sitting there in this conversation, and I'm right in the middle of all of them. It was just the weirdest thing. The profanity, the they were talking about a recruit, like both Sark's like, I'm here to see so and so, but he's here to see him too, but he has no chance. And he's saying that about Kiffin. You know, he's here too. He's here for a ride. It was kind of cool. Like look, you guys, they didn't even know I was there. It was like it was almost like they were ignoring. I got a handshake from Sark and Kiffin, but only Sark was the only one that talked to me. But it was pretty weird just to be there and have them talking about a recruit. It was really cool.
Oh wow!
I've always been a big fan of Kiffin.
Well, I'll tell you this: I like him a lot better than Brian Kelly, because like there was a time where I did not like Lane Kiffin, but over time I've become a fan of his. Although I will knock on him a little bit about the big game at Ole Miss, but other than that, I'm always gonna like him a lot. He's got likability. I mean, Hell, Daniel Tosh played him in parodies. Daniel Tosh is funny.
They do look a lot alike. That is freakish how much they look a hell of a lot alike.
Oh man, what College Game Day needs to do is like if Game Day ever goes back to Ole Miss, have Daniel Tosh be the guest picker, kind of like how they did with Jordan Peele, having him play as James Franklin. Do the same thing with Daniel Tosh.
Yeah, I'm old. What happened to Daniel Tosh? He just like fell off the planet, didn't he? Like he
he's
was
not on Comedy Central anymore, but he's just vibing here and there. But I think he should do like a Netflix special or a
comeback.
Yeah,
comeback special.
And maybe if some people play their cards right, he could possibly be on. Maybe someday he'll be on an episode of the Jacksonian. Come on in, Daniel Tosh.
Okay, TV timeout here. Trojan Fighting says, I'm not sure where this started, but I'm sure if I were to look up Louisville's record year by year, there's far more losing records. Actually, in all seriousness, we have more of a winning records than we do losing. We had that short period after Petrino left where we were really, really bad. But for our overall history, we're one of the winningest programs in the ACC. So,
speaking of winning programs, they're going to lose a lot this year. I'm just kidding. They're not going to lose a lot. What do you think? I hear a lot of people talking about, especially Buckeye fan. Is Caden still here so we can give him some shit? Okay.
Nah, he's out getting his queen, I guess. Or I don't know.
Yeah. I'm not touching that one. But I mean, I don't see them losing. I don't see them losing Kelly and Knowles, right? And breaking in a new quarterback. I don't care how talented or how many stars they have. I don't see them doing all of that. And they lose. I mean, they lost a lot, right? They lost they lost everybody that they paid to keep last year. So that the roster turnover would be huge. You got two new coordinators coming in. Neither one of them are really setting the world on fire as far as like being great coordinators. What are your guys' thoughts on their season? I know you talked about it already.
You want to start us off, Jackson?
Oh man, sorry, I got in that laughing fit for a bit about what Tim said about the dude that says he's getting his queen, but what Tim we're talking about? I'm so sorry, man.
I'm just so replacing Knowles with Patricia, right? It's not awe-inspiring to me, like at all. Hanging on to Brian Hartline by giving him the OC when
That's
I guess
a good move.
Is it going to go back to Ryan Day as the play caller? Because if they're going to have Brian Hartline calling the plays, I doubt that. I mean, maybe they'll have some kind of analyst or maybe Days to go back to calling plays. I don't know. But I'm not hearing any Buckeye fans talk about the fact they're losing both their coordinators, they're breaking a new quarterback, and they lose a bunch on their defense. So you tell me why do they think they're just going to roll in and win 11 games, 12 games?
Honestly, they think they're just going to reload again. They're just going to be fine and everything's the same. They think it's going to be better.
Better?
That's what they think.
I know, but explain that. You got Brian Kelly, Chip Kelly, who's an amazing OC. Say what you want about him as a recruiter. Say what you want about him as a head coach. But calling plays and finding mismatches, especially in the run game, there aren't many better OCs in a run game than Chip. And then Matt Patricia, he's got some NFL experience. He's coming from he was an analyst job in the NFL, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
I'm just curious why they think. And by the way, I mean, yes, at USC we were arrogant too during the Pete Carroll years, but then we realized, especially in 2009, that you can't just put anybody there.
Yeah,
you can't just replace it with just another person because coaching counts. And again, I don't think Hartline is going to be a wide receivers coach for that many years and not sniff an OC position. And all of a sudden now they're going to put him at OC. And I was never overwhelmed with Ryan Day's play calling. I never have been. He has. They had great offenses, but they had the best talent in the country.
Yeah.
So of course they're going to put up numbers.
Well,
you got NFL wide receivers and you have an NFL quarterback. Of course you're going to have great numbers.
Well, I think like the reason why they think this year will be a better year is I think they feel like they're gonna have like a better record. They can go 11-1 or unbeaten or something like that. But they can't beat Michigan. They can't even beat Michigan. I mean, that Texas game, I think we're gonna learn quite a lot about the Buckeyes, and I think we'll know more by the time we get to Penn State in the start of November. I mean, they'll probably win that one because I mean, it's like they always win against Penn State. Don't know why, but it just happens. Kind of like Ohio State with Michigan the last 4 years. They can't quite get it done.
No. Oh yeah, drink. Speaking of can't get done, let me go over a drink real quick.
And to answer Trojan Fight's question, are you an actual Louisville fan? Yes, I'm diehard. I love them. I've been a Louisville fan since 2007. I'm going to be 23 years old in November. I've been watching them almost all my life. And I couldn't think of any other team to root for, to be honest with you. I grew up here in the state of Kentucky. I'm always going to be a Louisville fan. I grew up watching basketball, but I grew up loving football. And two, basketball will be my number one sport because that's what my parents raised me on. But I grew up and I love football too. I love both of them. But yes, I am an actual Louisville fan, true and tried. You will never find me in any other colors. They are going to bury me in a Louisville uniform. I promise you that. Here's the thing, and since Tim's here, I like Miller Moss. I think this might be one of the sneakier gets in the portal for Jeff Brom. I like what he's going to bring to our offense because what Jeff Brom does really well, and what maybe I won't say what Lincoln Riley didn't utilize is the run game. I feel like our offensive line and run game, we lean on that heavy, and the play action. Now, Tim, you could correct me if I'm wrong. USC doesn't do much play action, correct?
Well, they do a lot of zone read. So I mean, it's kind of
what would you say the percentage on play action is then? 20, 30%? Or not even that high?
On play action? Yeah, no, they don't run a lot of play action.
Okay. So Miller Moss being here at Louisville, we run at least 60%. So it's going to be a much higher percentage, and that's how quarterbacks are able to thrive under Brom's system, even at Purdue. And Miller Moss he does have escapability.
Well, I mean, so Jackson, I got to be careful because, so like, I don't mean like the dude read option as well, but they do a lot of RPO stuff too. So I mean, that's like the modern day play action, really. I mean, they're that mesh point they hang. You know, it's not a true play action, but you know, what I mean, you still get the same thing out of it. Really, you're trying to freeze those linebackers and the safety. So they do run it a fair amount.
But and to answer Trojan Fight's question, I like the addition of Miller Moss. I think he's going to fit well with this. I wish it would have worked out at USC because he did show strides against us in the bowl game, even though it was all of our backups. But he did show strides. I just wish it would have worked out for USC. I like Miller Moss. I think he's good. And I'm not just saying that because he's at Louisville now. I thought he was good at USC. I don't know what happened. Why it turned sour so fast.
He was not getting protected and he got the crap beat out of him. And then the defense was giving away games late in games. So he kind of did the Caleb thing where he's pressing and probably throwing balls he shouldn't throw because he feels like, okay, it's 3rd and long. I need to get a first down here because I know my defense isn't going to hold. So he might throw into a tighter window or he might gamble a little bit more than he normally would. Just like Caleb did. And when he plays inside himself, when he has time to throw, he can surgically tear apart a defense. There's no doubt about that. Cerebral
Yes,
guy,
and we
great
see that.
leader, great leader. I mean, he is an on-field general. He has ice water in his veins. If you just watch that last. If you want to be happy and excited about this year, watch that LSU. Watch the end of the LSU game this year, in Vegas. That shows you who Miller Moss is. You know, watch the Michigan game. Believe it or not, people don't realize it. He's the one that kept them in that game. You talk about NFL lineman just breathing down his neck the whole game, and he is just dealing. You know what I mean? He had that one pick six to what's their corner's name again? Will
Johnson.
Will Johnson. He has that pick six. I by the way, I called that play 2 games before we played them. I said, if he throws that away against Will Johnson, Will Johnson's making a house call, and sure as shit he did. But
you jinxed it.
But Miller Moss, huh?
I said you jinxed it. You put it out there in the universe.
You could just see it though, because here's the thing: Miller does not have his arm as strong as Jade Mayaba. He doesn't have an arm like Longstreet. You know, he doesn't have that NFL. He can't push the ball down the field like other quarterbacks can do. But he anticipates routes. He can throw it early off. You know, he can. He can throw fairly well off platform as well. I mean, he's a good quarterback, but he has limitations. Also, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, what he does up here, cerebrally, what he does leadership wise, I think he can overcome some of that maybe lack of arm strength that he might suffer from.
And I'll say this too, Tim. You talk about the end of that LSU game. I remember I watched that entire game. And the best drive of the night was the one at the end. I know the spectacular catch and everything, that's what a lot of people remember that for. But if you watch that last drive, that was the Miller Moss drive. That was what a lot of people were like, that's the quarterback that we saw. And you even saw Lincoln Riley give him like a big old hug afterwards. And Lincoln Riley normally, I don't think he's a very passionate guy like that. But he did after that. Like, he was fired up. And I was like, there's something about that kid. I like it. He's got a fire in him. I like it.
Woody Marks stood up and ran right. I thought he'd run right into me. He was so excited after that touchdown. I was in the back of the end zone. And when I saw his eyes light up, like, I'm like, holy shit, they're going to hand it off to him. And they did. And then he just cut right through the A gap and just I don't know where the linebacker was, but he got past that. He broke that angle with the linebacker and he got to the end zone. And once he got there, you weren't going to stop him. He got into the end zone. That was a great individual play by him. Yeah, it was great. It was a great game. And Miller played great in that game. I get it. That's what you get from Miller. He's gutty. He's gritty. He's not fast, but he's athletic enough. Do you know what I mean? He's not going to run the ball, but he's not exactly. He doesn't have like cement blocks for feet. He can move if he needs to. He can pick up 4 or 5 yards if it's 3rd and 5 and he needs to pick up the first down. He can tuck it and run. But yeah, you'll just see limitations with his arm strength. That's it. That's the only hitch in his game. And in college, the windows are big enough. You don't need to have that ability to push the ball down the field like that. Like you would need those big, strong. It helps to have it. But you don't need it as much in college as you do in the NFL.
And I'll say this too, Tim. Going to Louisville, I think it was one of the better moves. When Miller Moss entered the portal, there was 3 teams I believe was up for him. I heard it was Indiana, of course Louisville, and I believe who else? There was another team in the running. And I thought to myself, if there's a chance that we can get this guy, because I was kind of concerned, honestly, what we were going to do at quarterback. After this past year with Shuck, I'm like, okay. We played all right against Washington, the bowl game, but then transfers to Tennessee, and I'm like, okay, what are we going to do here? And then I heard we were in the running for Bill Moss, and I'm like, Jeff Brom's going to do it again, isn't he? I thought Cignetti in Indiana was going to get him. I really did after the year they had, but Brom was able to get him, and I was like, yes, that's a good pickup. That's a good pickup. A sneaky good pickup and probably one of the best quarterbacks that you could pick up in this past portal. I'm looking forward to it.
What's his NIL, Austin? Do you know what's his NIL? Are they released that at all? Did they release that at Louisville?
I'm not quite sure, honestly. But I know this. I know. Oh, go ahead.
I just hope he got paid really good.
Oh, it's undisclosed. I'm looking at On3, and it says it's on.
Yeah. Well, because Louisville's a private school. Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe so, yes. Well, and I'll say this too, Tim. One thing about Louisville is, and the fact is, being in the ACC, he's got a chance now to win a conference title. Whereas in the Big Ten, until USC gets back up to stuff, it's basically.
We back, baby. We back. We back already.
Back. Okay, you're going to be with Ohio State, Penn State, and Michigan. Looking forward to it then.
Oh yeah.
But
we're going to beat Michigan. We're going to close the deal this year. We're going to beat Michigan at home. You heard it here first on Jackson and Austin's show. You heard it here first. SC is going to beat Michigan. Oh yeah.
Oh man.
I respect it. But I'll say this. I mean, realistically, in the Big Ten, you've got more contenders. Out in the ACC, you've got maybe 3: Miami, SMU, and then Clemson.
Miami will just piss away their whole season like they did last year. But they'll do it again. If there's one thing I can't stand, it's teams that blow their opportunities. And Miami is a team that gets on my last nerve, especially with Mario Cristobal.
Well, you should be mad at Oregon because they just missed their best chance to win a national championship last year.
Oh, yikes.
Pretty soon they can't buy, they can't just like throw money at people. When NIL really becomes NIL, who the hell is going to Eugene, Oregon? Who the hell is going to there? No one's going to go there.
Oh man, the USC Oregon hate is real, and we're here looking forward to USC.
Now, I have to say this though. I haven't heard Tim pick on Washington much, so I'm guessing you respect them enough.
Oh, I love Washington. Yeah.
Okay. That rivalry isn't okay. For whatever reason, I thought USC and Washington were button heads.
Because Seattle's beautiful. They try to tell you Eugene's beautiful. Don't believe the lies. Eugene is gross. Seattle.
My aunt on my dad's side of the family lives in Seattle.
Seattle's beautiful. Seattle is beautiful. Yeah. I mean, it's true, Jason. You know, I said it. I had people just light me up on Twitter, and if they listen to what I said, there's never been a better time for Oregon to win a national championship than it has been over the past 3 or 4 years with this wild, wild west NIL, no rules, no guardrails, just pay players, do whatever you want. It's exactly what Phil Knight University wanted. And again, if it's within the rules, go for it. Get that natty. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because this was their chance. This was their chance. I mean, they won't get a better chance than this. And I really thought halfway through last year, I thought they were going to win the national. I mean, I was like, oh shit, they're gonna win.
This is their year.
They're gonna win. They got a talented roster, but I forgot Dan Lanning was the coach. Guy can't coach.
No.
So you know, listen, you're only as strong as your weakest link, and they.
We knew a couple of Oregon guys that were saying if Oregon's win it all, we're going to be drunk on air. Like I remember hearing that. It's like, yeah.
I think I'd be drunk too. I'd be very drunk if they won it all.
I'll like wait till after post game, then I can like do the little drinking. But even then, it'll just be like one drink. That's it, because I'm afraid of losing brain cells, because I don't want to be like, okay, what did I forget? What got taken out of the archives?
No, you might miss, like, you know, you might forget one of those horrible games you don't want to remember. You never know. Doesn't mean you're gonna forget something good. So go ahead, have a beer on me, because it might be a bad memory you forget. So don't forget that.
Well, when it gets to the point where I have a beer, I will make sure to remember that. I'll be like, have a beer on Tim Prangley.
Take your vitamins.
Always. I'll take those vitamins, because if you get sick if you don't.
Yeah.
So Tim, obviously you were live, but when you all won the national championship in 05, was it 06?
It was 03 and 04, 03.
Yes, thank you.
They lost to Texas in the Rose Bowl in Keith Jackson's final game called.
That was the most brutal loss of all time. USC was absolutely. This is not sour grapes. USC found a way to lose that game, and Vince Young found a way to win. He willed that team to win.
Yeah,
and they did. Frosty Rucker bit inside on 4th down. I mean, that's so many chances to put that game away on both offense and defense. It's a very, very little known play. But before the 4th and 1, where USC went for it and got stopped, they had a ball that they threw out the flat to the fullback, Brandon Hancock, and he could have done cartwheels for a first down. I mean, he could just walk there and he would have got a first down. Game over. It's a little bit low, but it's like waist high. And you know how it is with running backs, especially fullbacks. You don't want to hit them waist high. You want to hit them right in the chest. And he reaches down and he drops it. And I just went, oh, it's like a second down. I'm like, oh my God, that's it. Because even if SC hadn't even scored, if they just got one more first down, ran another like 30 seconds, 40 seconds off that clock, it's game over. But anyway, I digress. I hate that game.
Well, and I always think to myself, if we had a 12-team playoff in 08, 06, 07, 02, I'm convinced that we would see more than 2 natties for Pete Carroll at USC.
Oh, yeah.
Because I mean, it's like,
I think that you had a 50-50 chance in 02, 06, 07, 08. Yeah, so four more, you had a 50% chance. So you just say you win 2 of those. SC wins 4 probably in that decade.
Oh, yeah. Because I mean, like 07, I mean, that was anybody's year. 08, USC smacked Penn State off the face of the earth. Like, because I remember, I think I saw that game at my great grandmother's house at that time. It was like somebody had it on. I was watching a little bit of USC Penn State, and USC was smacking Penn State. And day later, Alabama lost to Utah in the Sugar Bowl, and Kentucky beat East Carolina in the Liberty Bowl.
I'll say 2003 and 2004's defenses were pretty damn good as well. But that 2008 USC football defense, that like in the regular season gave up less than 10 points per game.
Yeah.
In a conference that was tearing it up offensively. And there were some seriously good offenses in the Pac-12, Pac-10. That defense could have played with anybody. I mean, and then of course the offense, we know what their offense was like.
Well, that Oregon State loss on Thursday Night Football kept the Trojans out of the national title.
Huh? Again, back then you couldn't lose any games. I mean, now you can lose 2 games in a regular season and you can still be a national champion.
Yeah.
I mean, it's new football.
It takes away from the specialness of the rivalries too, Tim. Like Ohio State losing to Michigan should have been the end of their season, point blank, period. Now they lose to Michigan. It's like, okay, we lost to Michigan. We'll get over it because we're still going to be a playoff team, and they won the whole thing. And it's like back then, if you lost to UCLA, Tim, you're not going to the Rose Bowl. It's not happening. Not going to happen.
Or the Natty.
Now you can lose it, Tim, and you all can still make the Rose Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it broke.
Yeah, I think the thing with Ohio State is they just had a lot. They had a lot of quality depth. I think as much as the high end talent that they had, more than anything, it was their depth that they had that won that national championship for them. They had a lot of depth and coaching. I mean, you guys think I'm kidding? Well, I don't have a lot of respect for Dan Lanning's coaching because in the postseason, especially when you have time to prepare for people, that's when you see the coaching. You see actual coaching take place and how you school people. And then when you don't have that week, then you just have a week to prepare for the next round. Then that's a different situation too. But Dan Lanning I'm telling you, he gets exposed when it comes to coaching. Oh no, he does these special trick things. He knows all. That's not him. That's some analyst. That's some like number cruncher that's doing that kind of weird stuff. That And I still think the 12 man on the field, I still think they lucked out on that. I don't believe that they did it on purpose. I'm just kidding. I know they did, but it's just I'm glad they have Dan Lanning, because if they had a solid coach, Oregon would have won a national championship probably last year.
Yeah. And here's the thing too, Tim. I'll say this. When you look at Oregon, like Dan Lanning's a really good coach, I think. But the problem is, like you said, when it comes to the big boy games, the big time games, he tends to fall apart, especially in these high pressure situations. And the thing was too, you saw signs of it against Wisconsin, believe it or not. Oregon's offense was non-existent in that game. If Oregon's defense hadn't held fort, Wisconsin would have won that game. And that wasn't even a big game. And they still almost lost it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what Dan's good at. I mean, he's not good at recruiting because they buy their players. He's not good at coaching because he's not. It's you win games if you have the superior talent. I mean, I remember games through the Pete Carroll era. This is true. That where I think the coaching staff had a crap game plan, but they would scrape the games out because their players were insanely better than anybody they had on their side of the field. It wasn't the coaching. There were games where even when Pete Carroll was the coach, SC had no business winning because their game plan was so bad. But the talent on the field was so much better than their opponent that there was no way they could lose, no matter how bad they coached. But anyway, guys, it's getting late. I gotta cash out. Heck, it's late for me. It's gotta be late for you guys. Thank you, Jackson.
And Jackson's muted.
What have you got going on the UCLA FB channel, Tim?
We're just doing we're doing the Conquest Collins show that I've been doing for the past 2 years now. Yep. So we're keeping that one. We're keeping that rolling over on my new. I'm gonna start writing for them pretty soon, but they're the ones that are getting me. They have been getting me a press credential. So I'm gonna continue doing that over with them.
There we go. And you can check out the UCLA FB network on YouTube and on X/Twitter and on Instagram. And you can give Tim Prangley a follow on X/Twitter and on Instagram. Stay tuned for more. And you can check out the latest edition of the Conquest Collins Show from LAFB. Stick around.
Hey again, everyone. Welcome into the Voice of College.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys.
As always, it's always a pleasure. Appreciate you for being here. And you are awesome.
It's always an honor to be here, guys. Love your guys' show. I'm here, even when I'm not here, even when I'm in the chat. I'm still listening. So I appreciate all you guys. You guys know your stuff. I learn a lot from you guys. So it's an honor to be on your guys' show.
We appreciate it, man. You'll love that Lane Kiffin interview from the Theo Vaughn show. Like, that's funny.
I'll go check that. I'll check that out tomorrow morning. I promise. It sounds good.
Yeah, I said late for sure. It's gonna be awesome. I'll be seeing you, Tim. We'll be seeing you later. Goodbye. There we go. That was Tim Prangley on the line from the LAFB network.
But Jackson, we have 189 people watching us right now at 2:36 in the morning on the East Coast and 1:36 a.m. on your side of the barn. I mean, you are just as crazy as us.
Well, I mean, 178 people tuning in on my personal X account. Come on over to mine and to my YouTube channel and Austin's YouTube channel. Don't be afraid to check it out. Give it a like, subscribe, and comment, and click on the notification bells. Come on in. Come on in.
Yes. And I will say this, Jackson. I mean, overall, final thoughts on this situation. I hope it works out for both sides. Tennessee, UCLA. I've got no issues or qualms with either team. I'm not in the rivalry of it. Jackson, I know you as an Alabama fan may want to see Tennessee do terrible now. But overall, for the human beings involved, hopefully this all is fixed and they both have healthy and happy seasons.
Well, and I'll be honest though, I actually want to see Tennessee do well until they play Bama, because I mean that way we
Okay.
beat Tennessee at their best, and
Mhm.
plus, you know, I'll tell you this though, the guys who are doing some great job on the Tennessee coverage are who are doing a magnificent job are Tucker Harlan and Jordan Binkley on Tennessee at the Voice College Football. I mean, they're doing a tremendous
Mhm.
job over there.
Yes. But you want to know who else is doing a tremendous job too, Jackson? Who always holds it down, always does a tremendous job. And I suggest all of Jackson's X watchers, YouTube watchers, everybody, check out the Alabama, the voice of college football. I promise you, even if you're not a Bama fan, you're going to enjoy Johnny, Jackson, Jeffrey, and their slew of people that come along. I promise you, it's going to be worth your time. I give you my word. So, but Jackson, you've got some great things lined up. Let the people know what they can expect if they do decide to check you out.
Well, I'll say this. I'm in the works of getting a head coach that's at Gulf Shores High School. He's a personal friend of Coach Burt's. Guy's name is Mark Hudspeth. He did a fantastic job at Louisiana Lafayette. Expect to see that come on at some point. We don't know when, but we're gonna have that coming for you. And we're likely going to be bringing on Brody Smoot from Touchdown Alabama. We're haven't yet talked to him yet, but we're going to be bringing him on for a future show. And expect to see a lot of Alabama writers and a lot of Alabama YouTubers, like including Coach Smoot and numerous others. Like Johnny and Jeffrey haven't met Coach Smoot yet, but they're gonna meet him. That I can promise you. And of course, you can check out this Monday's edition where Coach Burtz and I went over our take on the spring game, the portal, and much, much more. Plus, I subbed in for Brady Quoto at the Alabama Primetime Show where I talked with Manny Wilson about our takes on the spring game and what to watch for and how amazing the secondary is. And finally, Jeffrey and I have the Alabama Call-In Show where we take your calls on your takes on what Alabama needs in the transfer portal. Plus, we'll be going over some recruiting news, and there's always some fun trivia on the Alabama Call-In Show. And with that being said, come on in, check out Alabama with the Voice College Football, tell your friends, family, and cashier's post about the magic that it's creating. And of course, you can check me out on Jackson Johnson 979 on YouTube, where I not only collaborate with my good buddy Austin, my good buddy Will, but I've got my show, The Jacksonian. Not having a show this week because of Easter, but I should have a show back on either next week or the week after. But we're cooking, we're cooking. That I can promise you, and you're gonna love the guests like you have like throughout all the episodes. And for more updates,
Jackson's cooking some gumbo. Stir it up good. Sausage, shrimp. Put some rice in there. He's cooking it up. But go
I
ahead,
do
Jack.
my best. And for more updates on what I've got going on Alabama with the Voice College Football and the Jacksonian and much, much more, or my weekly call-ins on the Paul Feinbaum Show where the weekends are full of surprises, check me out on @/Twitter, on Jackson VOCFB, and on Instagram and threads Jackson Johnson 543908.
And of course, you can find me at Sports Talk with Austin 2002, where I just did the NBA playoff preview and predictions. I will put that in the comment section for you guys with Jeffrey with Only Talk Sports as we predicted all the first round games. We predicted who we have going all the way, and our picks might surprise you, might not. Spoiler alert, Jeffrey went safe. I kind of went a little crazy. Just a little spoiler, I picked the Timberwolves to go to the finals out west. I know, right? Very sacrilege of me, being a Nuggets fan. And then obviously me and Jackson always do pass the mic. This was a very special edition version of it because Mr. Nico, I'm going to leave you, decided I'm going to leave Tennessee tonight. So, but we'll be back again sometime next week. And if any more news breaks before then, we will be back before then.
Yes.
But for the love of baby Jesus, for all that we need to sleep, no more breaking news. Please.
At least not for another day.
Yes. But to the 190 people that watched us, no matter where you're watching, my channel, Jack's channel, or on Jack's X, we appreciate you guys. You do not know how much this means to us. I mean, we're by no means famous or any of that, but we appreciate that you're up this late with us and you care just as much as we do. And we appreciate that. This is a great community we're building. We love you guys, and we're going to continue building. We're going to continue to bring you content. Jackson, me, Jeffrey, Will, Mark, at the Voice of College Football, this community is going to grow, and college football is going to take over the world. One day, we're going to make it happen, and we're going to be the new game day.
There we go. And with that being said, like, comment, subscribe, click on the notification bell so you never miss no video whatsoever. Make sure to click that like button on each of our channels and make sure to subscribe. Click that notification bell, and we will see you soon. Stay safe, stay cool, stay away from that pollen, and good night, everybody.
Go Cards!
Roll Tide.